Hello and welcome to my channel on human design. Today I want to look at a practical way of dealing with conditioning. Now we know within human design that there is this not self shadow side of us that we find in all the white areas, the areas in our chart where the mind will play, where we will be conditioned by other people and by the transits. And it's looked upon as like, well, you've got to get over this conditioning, and you've got to find your way back to yourself. Well, I want to look at the other side of this. I want to look at positive conditioning. Human design brings us two fundamental things. The first thing is that we are unique. The chart is there in front of us. It is unique with its lines and its life forces and its centers opened or fixed. So we have a place where we can find ourselves through self-reflection upon what is in that chart. The other really important thing that it brings us is our strategy and authority. In other words, we are responsible, if you like, for making our own decisions. And our decisions are going to be made in a correct way through, if you're a pure generator, through response, if you're an emotional being, through feeling into whatever it is you're dealing with over time. Just two of the main ones, of course. So we have basically everything that we need in order to then go into the auras of others. So we have our own aura. It extends to about 7.5 feet around us. And it's whether you are open to being conditioned by the other. So if you move from your own space and you go into the aura of others, there is going to be this mixing of the auras. There's going to be this blending. There's going to be this capacity for conditioning from the other and from you to the other. So how does this help? Imagine you are an open solar plex and you've got, let's say you've got gate 22 as a hanging gate there in the open solar plexus, and your mind is churning through some very dark spaces. And you've responded to going out and you find yourself in the company of someone who has a fixed solar plexus and they're feeling whatever they're feeling. So whatever you're feeling that the mind is feeding is suddenly being conditioned by what they're actually putting out, the emotional energy and the way that they speak, in the body language, in whatever's going on with them. Whether it's high or low, it is going to overtake whatever's going on with you, because that is the chemistry. So one of the most important things to remember when you're with other people is, what do you bring and what do you take away? So if you're spending time with an emotional person and you've been churning over some deep darkness in you, well, if they're in a high mood, you may come away feeling like much better, feeling like you've gone beyond that. You've been pushed beyond that. You've been pushed beyond your own self-reflected, stuck state into something that's opened you up more. So what happens if they're in a negative state? Well, in a way, the same thing. Whatever's going on with their emotional system, you're going to be taking in, you're going to be amplifying. But you also know that they are not you, and you are not them. So whatever is going on with them is going on with them. And yes, you're participating in an auric way when you're with them, but then you leave. Now you can carry all that with you if you wish, but you're not, that's your choice, really. You can be taking away that and you can get even more miserable, but it's to do with them. It's not to do with you. And the aura of the other will also have gates that you don't have, maybe electromagnetic gates looking at the gates that you do have. So that can be very stimulating. That can be very sparky. Interesting conversations come from that. Interesting energy connections come from that, depending on where the gate is. You are here to meet the other. We are all here to meet the other and learn from it and expand from it and live through that and live with that. This is what it's all about. If we all stayed in our own little space, we wouldn't grow so much. There is this interactive side, this melding of the auras that can be extremely positive. The other day I spent time with someone with a fixed head and ajna. Went to this fascinating lecture, and I was very inspired at the end of it. And this person had a different leadership channel to me. They had the 1333. So I'm there taking in, there's a lot of auras. It was a crowded space of about 150 people. But at the same time, I spent a bit of time with this person, and I walked away with this reflective side of me, walking away still being in the experience, processing what I'd heard, processing the energies that I'd met while I was there. Something that was a completely different space from when I arrived. So we always leave with something, and we also bring something. If you're a projector that wants to be seen, when you're with others, you get this chance of being recognized. And in that recognition, you see yourself in a different way. There are all these positives that can come from being with people. So it's not just about, I don't want to be pulled into the not self. It's like, let them and their aura reflect upon you, who you are, and what's going on for you. If we take it further and we look at companionship channels. So if you have one channel and someone in the space around you has the same channel, perhaps in different lines, but they still have the same channel, you get to see that being played out in them, which then gives you insight into how you use your power. For example, if it's the 3420, you get to see their manifesting generator energy. You get to feel that buzz and see that buzz. And it also helps you to see your own buzz and your own energy. You recognize in them something about yourself. It gives you that extra reflection upon who you are that you would not have perceived without being in their aura. You've got to understand, when we have fixed channels, that is us. So we don't think about it much. We're not looking for it. We're just it. We're living it. So when we're with someone else who is living the same kind of energy, we get to see what our energy is like by seeing them demonstrate it in their own way. And still, they are not you and you are not them. You have your aura, you walk away with your aura. What you want to carry with that is, is a matter of experiment, shall I say. And think what it's like to be a generator. Now, the majority of people watching this are probably generators. So when you're with other people, you get that chance to respond to something that is different to you. Yes, when you're with others, there will be a certain triggering that may happen with certain people, which wouldn't happen with other people. But you get to look at the triggers. Perhaps it's useful. Perhaps there's something in you that needs to be looked at that you're not seeing. And that's why you're being triggered by it. Once you deal with it, the trigger may not be there. I mean, I think about the 39s in particular, who are there to provoke us. You're around one of those, you might be provoked, but it might be a good thing that you are. It might be this opportunity to have a look at something where you're stagnating, perhaps, that you would not have bothered to do if you hadn't been in their aura. And think about what you bring to the other. I'm a manifesting generator. When I walk into a room, I make a certain impact. Now, if I'm walking into a room with open sacrals, the impact will be even more, because suddenly there is this energy for doing this, energy for life, this power comes into the room. Well, you see your impact, you see how that affects them in the way that it does. You get to see the difference in the types. Very, very important to know that you are part of just one type. When you meet another type, it's a completely different experience. You know, their life and the way they experience it is completely different to the way that you're experiencing it. You can learn from that. I have learned so much from projectors. You know, yes, they will point things out, but they'll also show me things that I would not have seen otherwise. So as a 1-3, I am always learning whenever I'm going into a situation. If I can have the charts of the person, or even if I can't, you know, just to pick up what I pick up, to begin to notice it, to reflect upon it, to see how I am operating in that moment in their aura. Lots of things start coming up. For the projectors or the manifestors or the reflectors that are around me, when I move out of their aura, how does it affect them? Suddenly that power is gone. Suddenly that energy has gone. They have to readjust from that. They have to calm down from that. They can still center into who they are if they know about human design, and realize that I am not them, that I was a conditioning agent of that. You get to see so many things if you use human design, and you get to learn from how you're being conditioned when you're being conditioned. This is the whole point of being the witness. You actually get to witness something. You have a framework within which to see what's actually going on. And that is highly beneficial. So it's not about putting other types, you know, there, them over there. It's like, well, what can they bring to you? What do they bring to you? What do you bring to them? You know, beginning to see that it's not just about what people say. It's not just about the transference of information. It's also about the experience in the aura of how your aura is being affected by the other, and what light that shines upon who you are, and what may change in your life as a consequence, just from being in the different auras of others. And also being with the auras of others, it gets you to see how you are operating in the world yourself. If you're a generator, are you trying to manifest? Or are you just waiting to respond? Is there something to respond to? You know, to be able to see that those people who are not manifestors, who are manifesting, it creates this dissonant frequency. You get to see it. You can get to see it in yourself if you're doing it, noticing it, drawing back from that, learning something else about yourself. And whenever I'm around manifestors, I do my best to let them initiate. You know, after all, they are the manifestors, not me. You know, we have to know our place in the auric types that are around us, to be able to invite a projector out with something that you can perceive in them, that you recognize in them, can make a tremendous difference to that person. And it can make a tremendous difference to you, because they bring something different. They bring a whole new perspective because of their different type and because of their different definitions. So we live in a background of homogenized ideas and understandings. You know, people thinking we're all the same. This is the background that we've got in the world at the moment. And all the anger and all the frustration and all the bitterness and all the disappointment that comes with that. With the knowledge of human design and the knowledge that you have to whatever degree in your own chart, you know, what your own chart is about, bringing that clarity into any social endeavor is going to sharpen you in some way or other. It's going to show you something about yourself and about yourself in terms of interaction with the other. You know, what discussions do you continue? What discussions do you pull back from? What actions do you partake in? What actions do you draw back from? It's all about getting engaged in it or not engaged in it, because you have your own authority and because you have your own aura. And then what do you leave with? So think about that. Watch that. The more you watch, the more you witness, the more you expand in actually who you are, what you really are about, and what you're capable of. Okay, well, I hope you enjoyed that. And if you did, please like and share and subscribe. And I will be back again very soon with something completely different. Bye-bye for now.